Hello and welcome to the New Haven Independent Vlog News Summary direct from our assignment that's otherwise known as my compost heap. Let's see what stores we're working on. Wait! This ladder's in my way. How can I do the compost heap? I better shove it aside because it's in my way. And I learned that's how we do it. That's how we hustle in New Haven. I learned that from the mayor this week at a public event. The event was at Edgewood and Day. A new store called the Hustler's Vibe opened. A Hustler's Vibe. Sean Boyd, who grew up across the street at Detroit Homes, he said, here's why I named it a Hustler's Vibe. I want young people growing up in the neighborhood to know you can work hard and hustle to get what you want without breaking the law. Mayor Elliker spoke at the ribbon cutting too, and here's how he defined the word hustle. I have to get it right, that's why I'm reading it. It means working hard, but making sure if someone gets in your way, you push them aside. We're hustling as a city, we gotta keep hustling, we'll make great things happen. So, one of my questions is, who's hustling whom? I asked that because of these jazz greats I'm thinking about who are also in vote this week. Duke Ellington, Thelonious Monk, Billie Holiday, and my favorite Keith Jarrett concert. Well, some of those jazz greats used to play 70 years ago at the Monterey Cafe on Dixville Avenue, and the avenue was hubbing. It's long been shuttered. Before that, it wasn't a jazz club. But the city got hustled by some slumlords who sit on property a long time, don't fix it up, collect the money, flip it, and we keep after them because it holds down a neighborhood. So the city wanted to get that property out of the hands of Ocean Management, the old Monterey Cafe and some housing around it, because it was all empty and run down. But instead of just foreclosing on them because they were breaking the law and having illegal conditions there, they wanted to overpay them the way they always do, undervalue what properties are and we tax them but overpay. They wanted to pay $1.3 million for the Monterey and other properties that are worth less. The way they did is they had a press conference, they drew in people from Dixville and said, we remember the Monterey, the great jazz system, we're keeping that alive. They weren't. There was no plan for a jazz club. But the board of alders said, sure, buy it for all that money. Well, 4 months later, Tom Breen checked in the Independent this week. The sale hasn't happened, and when you go there, you don't see any signs of jazz. The place is completely falling apart. It's a mess and empty. And that's because Ocean never paid $262,000 and counting dollars in liens for blight they never fixed. We got hustled and shoved aside. Speaking of shoving people aside because they're in your way, consider the mixture of beer and ice cream. The owners of Cafe Bravo invoked that principle they shouldn't mix. And they stopped a new ice cream store that opened across the street, Elena's, a fun little neighborhood spot in Orange and Canner. They got permission at Elena's to let people, when they bring their kids there, sit outside and have some wine and beer and hang out and make it like a nice public street. Bravo don't want the competition. They wanted to push them aside, but they pretended, they sued. And here's the argument they really made, the owner, that ice cream and beer are a dangerous combination. Now, that wasn't the real reason, but what's more ridiculous about that reason is that they have a place, Cafe Bravo, where the bar opens at lunch. People getting plastered all day. There's a bar down the street. There's a package store. But they succeeded, and this week we reported a lawsuit was settled. There will be no wine and beer at the ice cream store. Well, I met a guy named Andrew this week who would never want to push people around. He's the opposite. He believes in helping people and working together, but he plowed into a bunch of cars that were in his way without meaning to because of his phone. He was looking at his cell phone. He was driving a U-Haul for Liberty Community Service, a great nonprofit helping homeless people get into new apartments. He's bringing a woman's belongings to a new apartment. He said, I looked down for 5 seconds at my GPS, and then on the boulevard he smashed into a car, stopped at the line with a light with a 21-year-old mom and her 2-year-old baby, sent him to the hospital, and then hit another car. And Andrew didn't try to duck it, he didn't try to shove anyone aside after. He stood there and he was honest about what he did, opened up about it, and he made an appeal. I'm going to read this too. He said, please have someone else in your car to look at the GPS and do something else, because he said, quote, I thought I could handle it. Now these tragic events occurred. People are hurt because of me. I'm going to have to face the financial and emotional consequences. Now we all can use that advice. We all sometimes look down at the phone, think we could do it for 5 seconds. Andrew, thank you for telling us not to just shove people aside in our way, but work together. Well, I got to hustle out of here. But until next time, this is New Haven Independent Vlog News Summary, and remember, always pick up your trash.